Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sportcat's Daily Gazette. I'm Glen Sportcat Jackson, here to give you all the news you probably didn't want to know or didn't need. I don't know, one or the other. Hello, Denise. Welcome to the chat. Thank you to everybody at Radio X, Yerg's Radio, and RainbowRadio.com. We appreciate you for allowing us to tickle your ears. If you want to come over and see why Mama said I had a face for radio, come over and find me on YouTube. The Para Are Normal Guys. Para Are Normal, 3 words, guys with a Z, or just search out the Sportcat shows. You'll find us there. And you can join the chat. We always have some great people in the chat. And we welcome you, your comments, queries, suggestions, and all that good stuff. And for any of the other places you are looking, you can also find we have a group on Facebook, and it's called Sportcats, plural, Daily Gazette. So check that out, find that, and we would like for some interaction with the fans. So we encourage you to basically send us some stories you want or stuff you want covered, and we'll be glad to get there. Hello, Chris. Welcome to the show. We're glad you're here. I've missed your face. So how about that? So all right. Well, let's see. Let's start off today's silliness and see what we can come up with here. No, we're gonna find out. I'm laid back Dan Rather today. That's what it is. So today is April 25th, and well, today is National Historic Marker Day, and there's plenty of those on the roadside, and they're a good way to celebrate is probably going out and helping clean them up. I guess they're more than just the roadsides, but that's where I'm used to seeing them. National Hug a Plumber Day. That kind of concerns me. So I don't know. National Hug. All right. I got to look at a Hug a Plumber because the first thing I think of is butt crack. National Hug a Plumber Day on April 25th recognizes those who come to our rescue when our pipes leak or drains are clogged. Yeah, we couldn't get by. We're a civilized society. We need plumbers. They've kept the water flowing since ancient Rome. Whether it is a minor leak to a major clog, a plumber will have the right tool for the job. They also help us install our pipes and plumbing types when building a house or a new business. They're the water specialists. Yes, they are. Designing plumbing systems that work when we need it. Thank you to plumbers. We have hot water on demand. Showers come with a variety of options. Yes, they do. So let's see here. We'll just go down to how to observe a National Hug a Plumber Day. Count all the ways you appreciate plumbers. I appreciate them every day. Celebrate by thanking a plumber you know. I don't know that I know a plumber. I'll have to think about. Oh, yeah, I do. I went to high school with one. He owns his own business now. Send a card or a shout out online. Well, Vincent Ritchie, if you're listening, I don't think he's on Facebook. You were the plumber I would hug today. So how do you become a plumber? Well, I guess you acquire training through either apprenticeship or training course, and they obtain a license. And who invented the toilet? Well, that's a good question because I thought about this the other day, actually. The first patent for a flush toilet was issued to a Scottish inventor, Alexander Cumming, in 1775. So if you know a plumber, say hello, go hug him, all that good stuff. National Hairball Day Awareness. Well, hairballs aren't good. National DNA Day. Okay. National Arbor Day. Isn't it the trees where you go hug a tree? National Zucchini Bread Day. I don't know that I've ever had zucchini bread. I really don't. Wonder what it tastes like. I don't mind zucchini, but I've never had zucchini bread. National Telephone Day. Okay, well, that's cool. All right, so that's from the National Day calendar. Let's hop over here and see, because it's always a little bit different. National Arbor Day. Yeah, we went over that. Hug a Plumber Day. And it's World Malaria Day. Well, we actually have a story coming about mosquitoes. And Anzac Day, one of Australians and New Zealand's most important and revered national occasions. Okay, I'm gonna look at this one. I don't know what this is. So, Anzac Day on April 25th is one of Australia's and New Zealand's most important and revered national occasion. The acronym stands for Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. Did not know this. This day marks the anniversary of the first military action the country's forces fought during World War I, with their commemorative services and memorials available today. It's a time in which Australians reflect on the different meanings of war while honoring those who have given their lives in their country. Well, we should do that. All right. So, does it tell us a way to gives us a timeline? It started in 1915, was first observed in the 20s, and then in the 30s, rituals such as dawn vigils, well, were overnight in Australia. So, but I think they're ahead of us. So they've probably already done this. So there's rituals at dawn, marches, memorial service, reunions, and two-up games are established. And in modern times, they have marches to remember the fallen. All right. So there you go. I did not know that. So cool. Well, the ways to observe it: attend a dawn service, visit a war memorial, probably hug a veteran too, and plan a trip to. I'm gonna apologize to Gallopy. So all right. And so this is 5 important facts to know. The Anzacs were only volunteers. Okay, and only on Anzac Day is it celebrated. The traditional gambling game called Two Up is played. Okay. Last man standing, the last survivor who fought in the campaign, Alec Campbell, passed away in 2002. And the Anzac biscuits broke teeth. Originally, the Anzac biscuits were hard, square biscuits that became a staple food and even souvenirs. And the soldiers during a truce on both sides called truce during the Gallopy campaign for 8 hours to bury their dead. Well, good. So, all right. Why is the day of important? Well, of course, it's a day of remembrance, day to honor, and day of mateship is important for this. Let's try this again. Mateship is an important Australian idiom that represents loyalty, companionship, and equality among people, especially men. Anzac Day honors the preservance of military forces and the strength of their bond in hardship. The landings on the beach of Gallopy remain a culturally defining moment for both Australia and New Zealand. Absolutely. I guess mateship would be equivalent to what we call brothers here. Hey, here we are. We finally got Chris. He's on Facebook. Okay, well, we got you, Ken. Welcome. We are glad you're here. So let's see. Chris says that is the kind of holiday I can really appreciate, but I'm not hugging a plumber. Well, what's wrong with you, Chris? Go hug a plumber. Donate Life and Blue Green Day. I don't know what that means, so let's check that out because, well, it is important to the Donate Life and Blue. Oh, Lord have mercy. It's Friday, isn't it? The Donate Life, Blue, and Green Day on April 25th is a holiday that was largely pioneered by the Donate Life America organization to encourage people to welcome the idea of donating organs to individuals in need. There is no specifically appointed day for this holiday, but is usually any day, mostly a Friday, within April, within the month of which National Donate Life Month. Donate Life Blue and Green is usually observed by hundreds of thousands of individuals waiting to receive organ donations and comprises people wearing the blue and green colors to raise awareness. Okay, cool. All right, so we know that is a good thing to donate. East Meets West Day is also today. Well, that was an important event in the World War. And Freedom Day in Portugal. Hairstylist Appreciation Day. Ken, weren't we just talking about this? And this is a holiday to celebrate the beauty of the 3D wind map. Absolutely, Chris. International Delegates Day, International Financial Independence Awareness Day. Yes, get rid of all those stupid credit cards. They're just going to cause you to be in debt and worry all the time. International Noise Awareness Day. Well, yeah, I hate noise too. And it's probably why I always have the radio on. And it's License Plate Day. There are people who will collect just license plates. I did not know that. National DNA Day, National Hairball Day, National Liberation Day. Oh, here we go, Chris. Here, this just for you. You might want to send this to Casey. National Lingerie Day and National Mani Pedi Day. Never had one. And Zucchini Bread Day again. It's Red Hat Society Day. Not sure that that's a good one anymore because I was told by coworkers you can no longer wear a red hat. It's the same as wearing a white hood, is what I was told. In Atlanta, at least. Undiagnosed Children Awareness Day, the Feast of St. Mark for Italy. I saw this one earlier. World Penguin Day. Can you all hear that? Good Lord, that's a lot of rain. World Women's Wellness Day, and it's Al Pacino's birthday. I'm not sure who Jay Park is, but it's their birthday as well. All right. All right, so let's hop into a little bit of news here, and it will get a little silly here. Australian radio station faces backlash for using AI host without informing listeners. At no point during the show, nor anywhere during the ARN on the ARN website, was the use of AI disclosed, leading to backlash from listeners. Radio station in Australia is facing backlash for using an AI-generated host for a program without disclosing to listeners. A CADA, a Sydney-based radio station owned by the Australian Radio Network, created an AI avatar to present a 4-hour weekday show broadcast to Western Sydney and available on the iHeartRadio. The show, called Workdays with Thy, featured a radio jockey named Thy, is that right, Thy, who had been presenting the show for nearly 6 months since November of 2024, according to a report in the Sydney Morning Herald. Every weekday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. while you're at work, driving around, doing the commute on public transports, or at a uni, I'm not sure what that is, Thy will be playing you the hottest tracks from around the world. Read the description of the show on the website. Curated by our music experts, these are songs that are charting, are on the cusp of blowing up. So if your day is looking a bit blah, let Thy and Kada be the energy and vibe to get your mood lifted, it added. However, at no point during the show, nor anywhere on the website, was the use of AI disclosed, and has led to a backlash from listeners. It was revealed that the radio station used 11 Labs, which is a generative AI audio platform that transforms text into speech to create Thy. The AI avatar's likeness and voice were based on a real employee in the finance team. We've been trialing AI audio tools on Kada using the voice of Thy, an ARN team member. This is a space being explored by broadcasters globally, and the trial has offered valuable insight. An AR spokesman confirmed the use of AI. Voicing her criticism, Teresa Lim, the vice president of Australian Association of Voice Actors, said the incident highlighted the need for necessary legislation around AI. Authenticity and truth are so important for the broadcast media. The public deserves to know what the source is of what's being broadcast. We need to have these discussions now before AI becomes so advanced it's difficult to regulate. Agreed. And anybody that listens to my show would know I'm not AI because I stumble and can't hardly talk half the time. So Chris, Chris, she doesn't listen to my show, so you're lucky there. That's funny. Chris says I would hug Casey before any plumber. Hot take. Scott Browning, tuning in from Perth. Not often I get to tune in at this time. Thank you, Scott. We appreciate it. Yes, it is late over there, or early, depending on which way you look at it. So, and Scott, please don't replace us with AI. So, okay, replace Ross, but not me. I'm much more important. So, all right, we talked about this over on Ross's show, and it's breaking, so I don't know a whole lot about this story, but this comes to us straight from the heartbeat of where the incident took place. Milwaukee County, which is in Milwaukee, obviously. Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested by federal authorities at the courthouse. Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested April 25th by federal authorities who are investigating whether she tried to help an undocumented immigrant avoid arrest after he appeared in her courtroom last week, officials confirmed. Dugan is scheduled to appear before the U.S. Magistrate Judge Stephen Dries at 10:30 a.m. on April 25th on the second floor of the federal courthouse in downtown Milwaukee. That should have already taken place. Brady McCrone, spokesman for the U.S. Marshal Service in Washington, D.C., confirmed she was arrested at 8 a.m. at the courthouse and is in federal custody. FBI Director Kash Patel posted on X about the arrest, but he later deleted the post. Now, I don't like it when they do that. This was apparently his post on X. Just now, the FBI arrested Judge Hannah Dugan out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin on charges of obstruction after evidence of Judge Dugan's obstructing an immigration arrest operation last week, Patel wrote. We believe Judge Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, allowing the subject, an illegal alien, to evade arrest. Multiple county judges confirmed that the arrest took place at the courthouse. Chief Judge Carl Ashley confirmed the incident in an email to courthouse officials. Reached in her courtroom on April 24th, Dugan declined to discuss the investigation. Officials have not yet identified the defendant, whom she is accused of assisting, but it appears to be Eduardo Flores Ruiz, a Mexican immigrant facing 3 misdemeanor battery counts. He was in Dugan's courtroom on 18 April for a pretrial conference. Flores Ruiz is 30. She's listed as being in ICE custody at the Dodge Detention Facility in Waino. Is that right? Waino? According to the federal online detainee locator system, sources have told the Journal Sentinel that ICE officials arrived in Dugan's courtroom on the morning of April 18th. When they went to the chief judge's office, Dugan directed the defendant and his attorney to a side door in the courtroom, directed them to a private hallway, and into the public area on the 6th floor. Well, there should be plenty of cameras that would show that. Last week's arrest marked at least the 3rd time in recent months that federal immigration agents have come to a courthouse with arrest warrants. In March and in early April, 2 people were arrested by ICE officials in the hallways of the courthouse. I guess I should tell you all, if something happens and we go dark, it's probably because of the thunderstorm that's going over. Dugan was elected to branch 31 of the circuit court in 2016 by knocking off an appointee of Republican Governor Scott Walker. Her judicial term expires in 2028. So it's a breaking story. I'm sure there would be more information, but I would guess that being a courtroom, there's probably plenty of cameras that would show whether that did occur or not. All right, so we'll go to the other side so that we're fair. Trump pardons Fiore, clearing former Las Vegas councilwoman after a fraud conviction. Yeah, President Donald Trump has pardoned former Las Vegas City Councilwoman Michelle Fiore, a Republican who was convicted of wire fraud charges last year for using money intended for a fallen police officer's memorial for her personal use. She was set to be sentenced next month on her conviction of 6 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Each count would have carried a maximum sentence of 20 years in imprisonment. She announced the pardon in a Facebook post. Isn't that where they always announce things? That I don't like to report things from there. Today I stand before you not just as a free woman, but as a vindicated soul whose prayers were heard, whose faith held firm, and whose truth could not be buried by injustice, the post said. A court filing made shortly after Fiore's post included Trump's full and unconditional pardon of Fiore, which was made on Wednesday. The pardon comes just 6 days after a federal judge denied her request for an acquittal and a new trial. She had argued the evidence against her was insufficient and that she was denied the right to a fair trial, but Judge Jennifer Dorsey was unconvinced. Notably, it also comes shortly after Trump named, I'm going to probably mess this one up too, Sagai Chadha as the interim U.S. attorney for Nevada, which is the state's top federal law enforcement officer, whose office is in charge of trying cases such as Fiore's. Chadha, who also serves as the state's Republican National Committee woman, is friends with Fiore. The federal case centered on the construction, making sure I'm still on the air there, making sure I'm still going. The federal case centered on the construction of a statue honoring Ellen Beck, a Las Vegas police officer killed in the line of duty in 2014. Federal prosecutors accused Fiore across 6 months in 2019 and 2020 while serving as the councilwoman of soliciting donations to her PAC and the nonprofit for the construction of a statue. but instead used the money for personal use, including rent and plastic surgery. Dozens of witnesses testified during the trial, including Republican Governor Joe Lombardo, who said that Fiore had contacted him while he was the Clark County Sheriff seeking donations for the statue. His campaign sent a $5,000 check to the PAC, and an FBI agent testified that shortly after the $5,000 was transferred to Fiore's daughter account to purchase a money order covering her rent. Okay. Fiore, also a former Nevada Assembly member and the GOP's nominee for state treasurer in 2022, first entered the Nevada political world in 2012 by winning her race for state assembly and quickly rose up the rank. She lost leadership's position before the 2015 session amid controversy regarding more than $1 million in tax liens. In 2016, she ran for Nevada's 3rd congressional district, finishing 3rd in the GOP primary. A year later, she successfully ran to represent Ward 6 on the Las Vegas City Council, eventually becoming the city's mayor pro tem, a position she held until her 2020 resignation. Her resignation came after she allegedly said, "If there's a job opening and my white ass is more qualified than somebody's black ass, then my white ass should get the job." Though she denied that being the reason for her resignation. Doesn't seem like something a mayor should say. She also was sued by fellow city councilwoman Victoria Seaman, who allegedly Fiore created a hostile work environment and physically attacked her. Seaman was among the victims in the federal fraud case, though she did not testify. She narrowly lost her 2022 state treasurer's bid, during which appeared to be a campaign ad for her shooting beer bottles with the label "Vaccine Mandate" and CRT, Critical Race Theory. She said she didn't mind people bringing guns into courtrooms because an armed society is a polite society. Shortly after she was appointed as a justice of the peace in rural Nye County, winning another term outright last year before being suspended following her indictment. She said on her Facebook post Thursday she would be returning as a justice of the peace next week. Interesting. Whoa, where did my screen go? Let's see here. Chris says, "I wonder how many Mexican judges I would have protecting me if I wanted to go there to commit any crime. I would guess 0. Well, that's probably, you don't want, yeah. Truth and justice, but she did the crime. I feel like she's gaslighting, but she has the pardon, which doesn't mean she's not guilty." Nope, it doesn't mean you're not guilty. It means just you got a hall pass, which is silly, but whatever. Okay, so we said we'd talk about mosquitoes. This comes to us as the weird but true story. An army of mosquitoes take over entire plane, causing passengers to become extremely itchy and praying for the flight to get over. A recent Indigo flight from Lucknow to Delhi in India had some unexpected guests that caused flyers to become extremely itchy and irritated. An army of mosquitoes swarmed and annoyed passengers on the flight that took off the day after Easter. For the duration of almost 90 minutes, the flyers are left with no choice but to swat away the pesky bugs. One passenger named Manish Pendy said that the whole flight was spent scratching, sweating, and just praying for the flight to get over. Unfortunately, the cabin crew didn't know what to do in this situation, aside from offering lemongrass remedies to help prevent the mosquitoes from biting those on board. Passengers were beyond frustrated, and rightfully so. Airlines don't care, airports can't manage basic pest control, and passengers are just expected to take it quietly. How did these bugs make their way onto the plane? Supposedly, the flight crew said they entered through an open door, according to Luxury Travel Daily. An open door on a flight or an army of mosquitoes. What's more concerning? It's not just bad service, it's systemic rot that a frustrated flyer whined. We take your onboard experience serious and strive to make every journey comfortable and pleasant, a rep for Indigo said. To prevent the entry of mosquitoes, our aircraft undergo regular fumigation and patches are placed on the seats. The rep continued saying, "We also are coordinating with the airport to address this effectively. While we take every precaution, we hope you understand that mosquitoes can still enter through an open door." Well, however many disgruntled flyers weren't buying this, strange, just 4 days ago, I flew from Lucknow to Mumbai with Indigo, but it was mosquito free. Luckself said itself, though, was infested. I added someone else. Goodness. Another passenger tried to make light of the situation. Those mosquitoes will now need to start a new family and life in their new location after the flight. This sadly is not the first time mosquitoes have made their way onto a full flight. Last fall, mosquitoes infiltrated a flight headed from Morales, Mexico to Los Angeles, California. Surprisingly, the exorbitant amount of mosquitoes did not stop the plane from taking off as planned. Footage from the incident showed the annoying bugs on the ceilings on the back on the back of the plane as passengers boarded. Wow. Well, when I was a flight medic and we went to certain countries, we had to actually set off bug bombs inside the plane before we could open the door, which that's not very healthy, but that's what they made us do. So, all right. Chris says, did they really need to put the big red circle around the mosquito on the white wall? Well, I guess they wanted to make sure we were clear on what it was. Well, how about this? A ferocious woodpecker has damaged 25 vehicles in a Massachusetts town. A town is under siege from an apparently territorial pileated woodpecker being blamed for damaging more than 25 vehicles in the area. Rockport resident Janelle Farva managed to capture a photo of the culprit caught in the act of targeting a vehicle with his jackhammer-like beak. "We have a vandal in the neighborhood," she wrote on social media. He was described as 18 to 24 inches tall, wearing black and white with a red hat. She said she knows of at least 25 vehicles that were targeted by the bird. Usually the side view mirrors are windows. I had a bluebird that just attacked the crap out of side view mirrors in my neighborhood. The woodpecker showed up and landed on the windshield wipers of the RV in our yard and was looking at its reflections. And we were like, you know what? I bet he was the one that damaged the mirrors as well. Some residents said they have started protecting their mirrors with plastic wrap or sweaters while the vehicles are not in use. Had to place wash rags to keep the bluebirds off of them. Mike Forrester said the woodpecker cracked his passenger side window, good Lord, while he was sitting inside the truck. When it landed on the window, I thought it was my girlfriend tapping on the window. He told the New York Times, I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. It was staring right at me for a solid 30 seconds. Matthew Fuchsjagger, I'm just going to call him Matthew, co-director of the Ecology and Evolutionary Biology graduate program at Brown University, said the woodpecker's behavior can likely be explained by the current mating season. So a guy had a horny woodpecker staring at him for 30 seconds, in which the males of the species are known to become fiercely territorial. They're a ferocious bird, and they're really strong, he said. It's the biomechanical equivalent of a hammer. Well, aren't birds miniature dinosaurs? Ron McGill, the Zoo Miami's communications director, agreed mating season is likely to blame. He said it makes sense for the woodpecker to be targeting reflecting surfaces. If they see the reflection of themselves, they don't understand it's a reflection, he said. They think it's a competitor. All right. And woodpeckers do make a lot of noise. I agree, but the worst noise, I believe, in the woods is a whippoorwill. A whippoorwill will drive you crazy. Chris says he's in more trouble when his girlfriend found out her guy thinks she looks like a bird. That's a very valid point, Chris. I had not thought of that angle of the story. All right, so if you're in New York City, there is an ad that is scratch and sniff, and you can stop and smell. And this is coming to us from the New York Post. So this is true story here. You can stop and smell armpits on the street. Isn't that what you want to smell? Personal care brand Billy is asking New Yorkers to make a pit stop when they see their posters for a scratch and sniff experience. Yes, Wendell, I make a lot of noise in the woods. You're right. Because I don't want Bigfoot attacking me. From now through Friday, May 16th, passengers can smell a giant armpit on the street, which will give them a whiff of Billy's newest tropical inspired scent, Cocoa Villa. Fans of the brand will get to sample the new smell of their best-selling all-day deodorant at 505 8th Avenue near Penn Station, if you're curious, as well as other locations throughout the city. So, videos have showed people stopping to scratch the giant armpit on Manhattan sidewalks and smelling them, looking pleasantly surprised. I don't even know what to say about that. So, yes, only in New York City. Stop and smell the armpits if you're in New York City. Apparently, it's the thing to do. Is that why? Oh, never mind. All right. So, all right, we'll go to a Florida story here. And this comes to us from an Orlando radio station. A Florida woman posed as an ICE agent to kidnap the ex-boyfriend's wife, according to deputies. LaTrance Battle, that's an interesting name, accused of robbery and impersonating a law enforcement officer. Bay County, Florida. A Florida woman has been accused of trying to kidnap her ex-boyfriend's wife, according to the Bay County Sheriff. In a release, deputies said the situation happened on 10 April, which is when they were called to the Bridge Plaza apartment complex about a, quote, suspicious incident. Upon arrival, deputies met with a woman who claimed she had been kidnapped, the release states. Investigators said they were able to figure out that another woman, identified as LaTrance Battle, had come to her workplace and identified herself as an ICE agent. According to deputies, Battle had dressed up in a black shirt with ICE painted on the front and wielded a sheriff's office business card and a handheld radio. So out of fear, she went along with Battle into her vehicle. The victim confirmed that she genuinely felt as if LaTrance was an ICE agent at the time, and she is in the process of becoming a legal U.S. resident, the release read. But while they were both in the car, she forcibly snatched the woman's phone from her as she tried to contact her lawyer and husband, deputies said. Investigators said that when the duo arrived at the apartment complex, the woman suspected something was wrong as she told her they were headed to the sheriff's office. Yeah, well, that's here's your sign. As LaTrance went inside the apartment, the victim fled and called law enforcement officers. The release continues. In an affidavit, deputies said the victim then called her husband while waiting for law enforcement to arrive and claimed that the abductor looked and sounded like his ex-girlfriend, Tracy. After speaking with neighbors, deputies said they discovered that a woman named Tracy, who was later determined to be Battle, indeed lived in the apartment complex. Once the victim's husband arrived on scene, he stated that an injunction against his ex, LaTrance Battle, for issues they've had in the past, the affidavit said. The most current incident was about 2 years ago when LaTrance showed up at his place of business and attacked him. Can't you just let him go? Per the sheriff's office, Battle was eventually located in the fountain on her way to Alabama. Well, that's I guess it's a place to get away to. Wendell, she was coming to see you. She was ultimately arrested and now faces charges of kidnapping, the commission of a felony, robbery by sudden snatching, impersonating a law enforcement officer, and the commission of a felony, and felony violation of probation. So she was already on probation. Good Lord. She's being held without bond. Well, yeah, because she's batshit crazy. So all right. I was kind of confused. It was talking about girlfriend, boyfriend, and then she was married to a guy. I was like, this is kind of confusion. All right. So over the weekend, some of you may go out and enjoy. What was it? Did you tell them what we did yesterday? No, Wendell. I try and keep secrets for later. So just shh, Wendell, shh. Don't tell them about our secrets. All right. This comes to us from Oddity Central. Some of you on the weekends may go out to a local pub and enjoy karaoke. Well, allegedly, a woman has caught herpes by holding the mic too close to her mouth. This comes to us from Zhejiang, China. She claims that she caught the herpes virus by holding the microphone too close to her mouth at a karaoke lounge. The woman The woman took to Douyin, China's version of TikTok, to share the story of how she became infected with the HSV1 virus, which usually causes cold sores around the mouth. Since 8 years ago in 2017, she visited a karaoke lounge in Zhejiang and got a bit carried away during her performance, holding the mic much closer to her mouth than she normally should have. Sometimes later, tiny pustulant blisters appeared around her mouth, but although they were painful and itchy, she didn't pay too much attention to them, and they eventually went away. And they came back in a matter of days. At this time, the woman thought, well, maybe I ought to go see a doctor, and she learned that she had somehow contracted the HSV1 herpes virus. I have to carry this virus for life. There is no medication available to treat it, the woman lamented. There is only medication to relieve the pain, but the symptoms are reoccurring. The woman said that she was certain she had become infected with the HSV1 virus from the karaoke microphone, adding that she never had herpes blisters before. She has been struggling with herpes for the last 8 years, and cold sores have started appearing on her cheeks this year. The woman's clip went viral on China's social media, but dermatologists have yet to confirm that her story holds up and that you can actually get HSV by touching a tainted microphone with one's lips. I'm betting it was Chris's. Are they going to blame this virus on transmission of bats? I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say there was a little sake involved that night, and she probably went home with somebody, and it might not have been the microphone. But hey, just in case, if you go out this weekend, make sure to practice safe karaoke and keep the mic away from your lips. You heard that here first. All right, Ken, here's another Florida story. Is there a new language emerging in Florida? Well, here's where it's been found. Developing dialect is a product of Cuban migrations, linguistic experts say. Miami, Florida, while Florida has plenty of native slang, it turns out that an entirely new way of speaking has come about in the Sunshine State. More specifically, it's been noticed emerging in the Miami area, a mingling of both English and Spanish. Language is now dubbed as the Miami English. Well, see, now here in North Georgia, we call it Spanglish. So, yeah. So there is a dialect of English that is emerging in South Florida that owes its part to the historical influence for Spanish, beginning with the end of the Cuban Revolution in 1959. That created a demographic situation that included the contact between Spanish English that has now gone on for over 60 years. To be precise, this new way of speaking appears to be a calc, which is a word for word translation from one language to another. Maybe click. Calc, I don't know. Speakers are using the original language, Spanish, their original language, Spanish. I have a hard enough time with English, to translate their concepts into English words, and then those features get passed down to the next generation, which is what is happening here, according to Carter. Example provided would be the phrase "get out of the car," which these speakers translate directly from Spanish to English. So in Miami, you may hear people who are native speakers of English, not immigrants, people who are speaking their own native dialect of English, who say, "get down from the car," he explained. That's interesting. Recent reports have described the phenomena as an emerging language, though Carter said it's more accurate to call it a dialect. In this case, it was created due to Spanish speakers coming into contact with native English-speaking population. When two language groups come into contact with one another, and as one of those languages lost over time, it often leads to certain phrases of its linguistic feature behind that get incorporated into the new dialect. He said some of the other examples are the word meat, the word carn, I believe that's carne, can refer specifically to beef or the entire category of meat, so speakers may substitute the word beef for meat when discussing dishes like meat empanadas are meat casseroles. Is that anything like in the South? We call every drink a soda. Up north, I guess they call it pop. Um, Wendell says that reminds me I need a noise canceling microphone. Pop filter helps too, Wendell. A pop filter is great. Spanglish isn't new. No, you're right, Ken. And I was getting pretty good of it on the streets of Atlanta when I was working as a firefighter paramedic. Actually, the term acclimente means right now. So a speaker may say something like, actually, I'm going to the movies, which really means I'm going to the movies right now. Already, in Spanish, the word already can be used to mark future events. As such, a speaker may say, I'm already graduating in 2 years, which in reality means in 2 years I will have graduated. That confused me. And with spoken Spanish declining in South Florida, this dialect is only getting stronger. Now, this surprised me. Spanish is disappearing in Miami as it is everywhere else in the United States, he said. Even though people think it's growing or proliferating, it's only proliferating because of immigration. But once those immigrants have kids, their kids become predominantly English speakers, and the grandkids become almost always English only speakers. Carter told News 6 that he and fellow researchers are going to continue looking into the features of the developing dialect. They want to figure out how prominent it's become between different ethnic groups. This phenomenon that we've been talking about is definitely an aspect of Cuban American speech, he said. Colombians are now the second largest national origin in Miami behind Cubans and followed by Nicaraguans and then by Venezuelans. And we want to find out to what extent are those national origin groups using these same structures? Is everybody kind of participating in this dialect formation, or is it a function of Cuban Americans? So we're going to start looking at that as well. All right. Spanglish isn't new. Pop is said in the South too. Yeah, it is, but it's not as often. And it's also another one is in the South is sweet tea. Everything is sweet tea, but if you go up north, sweet tea could be blueberry tea, raspberry tea. So yeah. So, all right. So I got a puzzle for you, and if you can spot the hidden dog in this mind-boggling optical illusion, okay, are you a fan of brain teasers? If so, we've got a new one. Brain teasers have been a favorite pastime for many social media users lately. It has become an age-related puzzle solving mathematical logic or identifies something from a purely visible content. Such brain teasers intrigue the masses. Among others, optical illusions have gained quite a popularity, and needless to say, some of them are mind-boggling. So if you feel they are no big deal, you might want to rethink these optical illusions and change your perception, make you think outside the box. An optical illusion does it all from testing your focus, observation skills, and judgment. And we're getting all kinds of severe weather alerts here. An optical illusion does it all from testing your focus, observation skills, and judgment. In the latest incident, we have got a complicated one. Are you ready for this one? I see it already. Wow, the dog you're correct. There's a dog in this picture. Let's just go ahead and make this dog full screen here and see, can anybody find the dog? I see the dog. Does anybody else see the dog? Oh, wait a minute, wrong button. I want to make it bigger. How do I make it bigger? There we go. Let's move this out of the way to down here. So Ken says he sees it. Chris, that pic needs a really big red circle. Yeah, but it's in there. Can you spot it, Chris? Anybody spot it? Let's see. Can we do that? Oh, we can do that. So anybody spot the dog? So I'll give you 10 seconds because you're supposedly a genius if you see it within 10 seconds. How Ken saw it when either that or he cheated and already seen it, but you're 10 seconds. So anybody see it? I'll point it out if nobody sees it, but I know, well, besides for Ken, but it's there. I promise you, because even I looked and went, what? Chris says he sees it. Denise says she sees it. All right. Well, good deal, because it is right here. My mouse is circling it. Can I make it? Can I zoom in it? No, it's as big as it gets. It is right here. If you can see where I'm circling with the Mouse. Yes. Uh, I looked at that for a few minutes because I went to a tracking. Ken says he just looked. I went to a tracking class that was taught by a police agency, and they gave several ways of looking at things that are different. And that was what I used. And I was like, okay, all right, let me see if I can find this sucker in 10 seconds. And I actually did. So I don't think I'm a what you call it, expert or a smart person or a genius, I think was the word. I am far from a genius. As you all know, I can hardly speak English. So, all right, let's get me back on the screen here. No, I want to show me on screen. There we go. All right, so this one comes to us from the Express, and I thought this was cute. Good Lord, I can't beat that hit button. I have a cat that does this, and I never knew this, so I figured I'd share this. An adorable reason why your cat wants to eat with you, according to a veterinarian. Well, all right. I think my cat's just an ass, personally. So Chris says he's not a genius. He just got lucky. Well, maybe that's what I did, but I used my police training. How about that? If your cat likes to be near you while they eat, you may have wondered what this behavior means. A vet has now explained the reason. I just thought my cat was a dick, but a vet has shed some light on what it means if your cat wants you there while they eat. Some cats prefer to enjoy their meals when their owners is next to them or is close by, according to Dr. Katrina Warren, an Australian vet who has educated millions of people about pet care. I had a pet psychic on once for more than 30 years and has even appeared on TV, revealed that the habit is called, and this is a quote from her, affection eating. You might have experienced this with your own pet cat, but are not sure what the reason is for the feline behavior. Dr. Warren took to TikTok. What are we going to do when TikTok goes away? I know what I'll do. I'll be happy. Explaining why some cats do this. Speaking in the video, she said, "Did you know there are some cats that like to have their owners around when they sit and eat? A whole lot more when they are already close to them. It's got a name. It's called affection eating, and it can be cause things like stress, such as moving a house or arrival of a new baby." Now, we do have a terrible toddler who is 4 or going to be 4. The expert vet added that it is often seen in cats who are anxious and like to have reassurance of their owners always around them. This habit can be found in cats who are hand raised as kittens or weaned very early. Well, I think I always just thought my cat was a jerk. See, I've got a long bench under a window that's kind of like a what do you call it? It's a big window in the kitchen. It's like 4 windows together into one, and there's a bench that sits there, and the table's in front of you. And I like to sit on the bench with my back to the window, and so I can see the whole kitchen. Well, the cat has to have, Squatch is his name, by the way, has to have his, and he doesn't prefer a bowl because the bowl touches his whiskers. So he has his own plate, and you have to have his plate on the bench and room for his lard ass, because he is very large, between you and that. He takes up a good portion of the bench. So I don't know. Denise says her Great Dane eats with her. Well, my dog would probably eat my food if I give Ginger the chance. Cats mostly consider you a part of their group. I agree, Ken. I am not the cat's owner. The cat owns me. So Dr. Warren says that it's obviously trying to reduce stress. Now, see, I don't know that I agree with that, because the toddler's in his high chair on the left side of the table. The cat is to my left, and then I'm kind of in the middle. Sometimes Mrs. Sportcat can squeeze in beside me, but yeah, I don't know that that's true because of the toddler. So, but try to obviously reduce the stresses, setting up a safe place for them to go. Let me tell you, when the doorbell rings or the cat hears the garage door open, man, he is gone. He does not like strangers. So he can clear a gate. We have toddler gates up in the house, and he can clear those gates and no problem. A quiet room is ideal. He loves to go into my office until I start a show. If you've watched the show long enough, you've heard him when I've closed the door and started the show, trying to get out of the room. Ken says we have 4 cats. So yeah, the personalities are real with it. Yes, each cat has its own personality, and Squatch is the king of the house, and he probably weighs 20 pounds, and he has a mitt that has 6 toes on it. Is that right? 6 on the front and 8 on each one in the back. He's a polydactyl, a Hemingway cat. And if he gets on you, trust me, he's been playing with me and gotten on me, and whew, those 22 claws will get you quick. So, but he's never done it intentionally. So it's also said that it can be seen in kittens who are fed by humans. I don't know about that one with mine. Are just anxious cats and want some reassurance. So if your cat wants to eat with you, just give it a plate. Apparently, a plate is better than a bowl because the bowl touches their whiskers. My vet told me this a long time ago and bothers him because my cat did not like to eat from a bowl. He wants a plate. It has to be a white plate. My uncle was a veterinarian and said cats were the only animals that could see in color. I don't know if that's true, but it can only be a white plate because I've put other plates up there. No, he won't eat off them. He will physically knock them off of the bench. My cat's a dick, I tell you. So I love him, but he's a dick. So and you are correct. Everything a cat does has intent behind it. Don't be fooled. Oh, the veterinarian told us that my daughter, she gives him anxiety, and I love to tell her that when Squatch is messing with her, because there was a period where my aunt, the one that's currently in rehab right now here in Tennessee, was visiting, and she would spoil him with cat food out of a can, canned cat food. We always just give him kibble. Well, when she went away and wasn't visiting, Paige is the one that usually feeds him. She didn't give him the canned cat food. Well, he started peeing on specifically her items in the house. It took us a while to figure this out. It took several vet trips. Excuse me. This chair is killing my backside. It took several vet trips. Why am I telling you all these personal stories? I don't know if y'all even care. It took several vet trips, and I was considering putting my cat on Prozac, but we found out that Paige needs to feed him moist cat food. And now you can't take it away from him if you tried. So I don't know. Love him to death, but sometimes he is a pain in the ass. Aren't they all, though? All right. So Ken, another story for you. Is this Florida's strangest delicacy? Here's how to get it so popular. Okay, we're going to talk about rattlesnake. When looking at a rattlesnake, delicious isn't the first word that comes to mind. Well, but that always wasn't the case. In 1930s, one Florida businessman made it his mission to kick off a consumer phenomena centered around the slithery critters. According to state archives, the businessman George End of Arcadia was helping his two sons skin a diamondback rattlesnake they had just killed when an idea struck him. What do rattlesnakes taste like? That idea has never come to my mind. After cooking it, he discovered the meat was tender and it tasted good. So he began to experiment to figure out how he could market it. Through his company, Floridian Products Corporation, Rattlesnake Division became a real-life snake oil salesman, only he didn't stick to the oils. End sold off every part of the rattlesnake, fangs, rattles, skulls, meat, venom, and more to the public, reaping a hefty profit. One of the most popular product was End's signature genuine diamondback rattlesnake with supreme sauce, which was canned rattlesnake meat with a sauce of meat stock, mushrooms, and heavy cream. Advertisements recommend serving the meat in pastry shells or on thin slices of toast as an appetizer for cocktails. One historian wrote, End and his associates promoted the meat as a delicacy and encouraged customers to be the first in your neighborhood to give a rattlesnake dinner. Has anybody had rattlesnake? It was a huge success, and his company, which began working with local snake hunters to catch even more rattlesnakes in the area. He eventually started a factory in Arcadia. He soon moved his main operations to Tampa, where he opened Rattlesnake Canning and Emporium at Bridge Street in Gandy Boulevard, thus founding the city's, quote, rattlesnake neighborhood. The Emporium put on performances mainly consisting of live rattler handles and shows where the rattlesnakes were, quote, milked for their venom for visitors, and opened a post office nearby. Rattlesnake Empire was in full swing, though with the advent of World War II, many of his helpers and hunters in the rattlesnake industry were whisked away to combat. Despite that, he claimed Rattlesnake would go on to bigger and better things in spite of hell, Hitler, and high water. And himself didn't last too long. In 1994, he suffered a bite while working with a 6-foot-long rattlesnake, and even with the use of anti-venom, he died a few days later. The Rattlesnake Emporium post office ultimately closed down, and Ann's wife sold his cannery equipment, patents, and formulas to herpologist Ross Allen, who operated a reptile institute at Silver Springs. Well, all right, so there you go. Canned rattlesnake can still be found at online sites like Mountain American Jerky on Amazon. Reviews tend to be mixed. So, has anybody had? Denise said she'd try it. I was camping with a friend who was Special Forces, and we had a very large timber rattler come through our camp. And he's like, "You want me to kill it and we'll have it for dinner?" And I'm like, no. So Ken says, "You can't pay me to eat snake, although he's sure it tastes like chicken." Yeah, I'm not interested in eating snake. And there's also a new delicacy in South Florida with iguanas. You can have iguanas now. I'm not a fan. Nope, not a fan at all. So all right, so I missed the top of the hour telling you guys what we are and what we do. We are a show that tells you, well, we tell you some funny news stories, sometimes some real stories. And you are absolutely right, Ken. It definitely does. He got his karma. He may have made money off of it, but in the end, the snake got him. So what we do here on our show, which is on Radio X in Australia and Yerg's Radio, as well as Rainbow Radio, and we're on YouTube. Come over and find us, Para, our normal, 3 words, and guys with a Z, and like, follow, share, and subscribe. We're also on Facebook. We have a group called Sportcat's Daily Gazette, where we like to have people post stories or things they'd like to see, and we like to interact with the fans. So join that group as well. But what we do here is we're not really a prepping or a survival show. We talk, sometimes we even make fun of some of the other groups that say, today's the day we're all going to die. Well, we have it. We're still here. I have had rabbit when I was a child. I don't remember. And I've had alligators, Denise. There's actually a place in Florida, I want to say it's called Tails and Wings, that you order a bucket of wings and gator tail. And every time I go to Florida, I find that place because their sauce is delicious. They probably have it online now, but every time I go to Orlando, I go to that one place and get a bucket of tails and wings. Who doesn't like tails and wings? All right. So we're going to talk today now. This is the FEMA daily operations briefing. Of course, this is the public one, and it's not the one that the president gets. That's secret squirrel stuff. So we're very watered down. But this one is dated Friday, 25th of April, 2025, and they released it at 8:30 a.m. to the president. So this will cover the weekend, although they do come out with ops over the weekend, but this will cover the weekend. They say there's no significant incidents or operations that they're working on, but they are monitoring more heavy rains and flash flooding in the southern plains and severe weather, and we're concerned with elevated fire weather in the southwest to the southern plains. So they have had a new declaration from New Jersey on Jones Road, that huge fire we talked about yesterday that they're working on. They have come in to assist. The acting regional manager for FEMA Region 2 approved a fire management assistant grant for the Jones Road fire. The fire is burning on state and private land near Barnegat Township in New Jersey Evacuations have affected 5,000 residents. However, they have been lifted, and there's no mandatory evacuations currently in effect. That was as of 8 this morning, but that does not mean that the air quality hasn't changed. And Ken says, "Are you talking about Gator Dockside?" Yes, I believe that is the name of it, Ken. Gator Dockside. I believe that is the name of it. That is the place I've been to every time. When we flew in as a flight medic, I'd be like, "All right, you guys go get your steak or whatever." Pilots always like to eat steak every day. So I'm going there. So what does Wendell say? Devon gravy and hot butter biscuit. That's good. What is Devon gravy, Wendell? I don't know what Devon gravy is. So the Jones Road fire is still ongoing. As of this morning, it's 50% contained. The evacuations are lifted, but it does still threaten almost 1,900 homes. So far, there have been no fatalities or injuries, and there has been one arrest. Chris says there's one in Gainesville, Florida, too. Or Ken, I'm sorry. Ken, do you like their sauces? I think their sauces are delicious. So okay, so today we're concerned with, well, rain and thunderstorm pretty much east of the Mississippi. Maybe down in Florida, you won't see it as much unless you're in the Keys, but pretty much east of the Mississippi, you can expect some rain today and possibly some thunderstorms. But from the the Tennessee, God almighty, Texas panhandle north to Oklahoma City, possibly later this day, extending up to Kansas, Missouri, over to Arkansas, Memphis, and Kentucky, as well as Mississippi and Alabama before it loses energy tonight, may have some severe weather in it. So be weather aware. I think yesterday at one point in time, there was 17 tornadoes. I don't know how many were on the ground at the same time, but there was 17 that I heard confirmed. And I saw one, what they call them, Weather Chaser went live and had some great footage of it on YouTube. Wendell says he's talking about Dove and gravy hot butter biscuits is good. I've not had Dove. So Ken says when they first started, it was really good when I lived there. It's been a long time since I was there and haven't tried it lately. Yeah, and sometimes that's the thing. When it might be a treat because I'm an out-of-state resident, but sometimes when something's been around a while, it does get watered down. So, but I would still like to, if they have their online, I will look and see if they have their online sauces because I like their hot sauce. All right, so Saturday, this storm is not going to really have a lot of energy to it. And that's because that front, or so the high up here, is going to be kind of trying to push more south. So it's going to create a little dry area, which is going to be a cause of concern for like Missouri and Colorado down into the south, Arizona and New Mexico, for some dry weather that could be bad for fire potential. So Saturday, the outlook isn't too bad. However, on Sunday, we need to be concerned up in the Kansas area. It could be potentially extremely strong as that high drops down and the warm Gulf moisture is tapped. So keep the tornadoes away from Florida. Yes, you deal with people from the Wizard of Oz. Do you have iguanas down there, Ken, where you're at? So yeah, Saturday doesn't look too bad. I mean, I would still be weather aware. Sunday, it's going to pick up a little bit of energy in Kansas, and it could spread outward into Tornado Alley. Today, they're expecting most of the energy to be in the Texas Panhandle, but I anticipate that it's going to go east throughout the day. So I always encourage a weather radio that you have set that it can go off if there's an alert. I know we're so used to our phones and things, but a weather radio is extremely helpful. So we look at the precipitation and excessive rainfall. This is Friday through Sunday, and we see that most of it's going to be up in the Northeast, up in the Boston area, the heaviest amounts, and it's going to extend all the way pretty much laterally from the Texas coast up to Maine with heavy and excessive rains. And boy, we don't need it in some of those areas. It's been pretty bad. Over in Montana, up in the higher elevations, your precipitation, excessive rainfall is going to be higher as well. And also, surprisingly enough, in part of Northern California. So be aware of that if you're out traveling. Turn around, don't drown is what they say. So Friday, we only anticipate that one area, but I think it's going to gain some more energy. Saturday, not so bad. Sunday, the potential still exists, even though it's not as high. But the concern for the fire weather down from the the Mexican border at Texas all the way up through New Mexico, pretty much the entire state is where we're concerned about today. Tomorrow, that area is going to grow because that little pressure of dry air is going to come in. So that is the hazard weather outlook. And we currently see that they are currently operating in New Jersey, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama, and of course, Texas. They're also working out in Oregon. So they have multiple agencies doing things right now trying to help. So you can find this on FEMA's website, FEMA.gov, and look at it. They will have one for Saturday. They will have one for Sunday as well. Kansas, we have some in Tampa, but they're not like Southern Florida does. They fall out of the trees. Yes, I went to Key West and I was shocked. They're everywhere, just like the chickens. What's the deal with the chickens in Key West? All right, so hold on. Where are we? Where is today's schedule? Saturday, Friday. Oh, they've gave us the whole weekend ahead of time. Okay, I'm not used to that. So let's see what's going on. We also go and look and see what's going on with the president. Well, normally they have a 9 a.m. press time, but today it was at 7:25. At 7:30, they were supposed to be there. So, all right, at 8:30 a.m., the president and first lady depart the White House en route to Joint Base Andrews. 8:40. They arrive at Andrews. They are really, this is such a military operation, is on time, and you can't get off of the time. All right, so they depart Andrews for Leonardo da Vinci International Airport. That's right, they're traveling abroad this weekend. The president and first lady will arrive. This is Eastern time, 4:50 p.m., and I'm assuming that they would have already departed today. They arrive and en route to Villa Tavanero in Rome. All right. And the president and first lady will arrive at their hotel at 5:35, which is 11:35 p.m. local in Rome, Italy. And they're scheduled for Saturday. Whoa. They depart the Villa Tavanera en route to St. Peter's Basile at 3:15 a.m. This is Eastern, but it's 9:15 local. They arrive at the Basile, 3:30 local. 4 a.m. They will arrive at the funeral for the pontiff, Pope Francis. All right. So then at 6:50 a.m. local, which is 6:50 a.m. Eastern, local is 12:50. They will depart the international airport, and President and First Lady will, let's see, where they headed from there. Newark. So that 5:10 p.m. Eastern, they will arrive at Newark. 5:20, they will go to Trump National Golf Club, Bedminster. And then at 5:40 local time in Jersey and Eastern, this is for Saturday, they will be back at the National Golf Club in Bedminster. All right, so Sunday, wow, they're going to wake up a little late. Well, they got to make a little jet lag. At 3 o'clock is the pool press time, and they will depart Morristown Municipal Airport at 5 p.m., and they will arrive, where are they going? They will arrive back at Joint Base Andrews at 5:20, and then they will go to Joint Base Andrews into the White House, and then at 6:30 on Sunday night, they will put a lid on it. The president will be back at the White House. You can go find all this. This is all on the White House's website, but they've already listed his travels. So he's going to he left early today. He's headed over to Rome. He will attend the funeral, and then he will return back to Jersey, spend the night there, and then come back to DC Sunday. So, all right. Tampa, hold on, let's see. We have some in Tampa. Let me catch up on a comment. Ken says we have some in Tampa, but not like Southern Florida where they fall out of trees. Yes, we were talking about that. Tampa downtown has chickens, lots of chickens, really. Janice wants to know if there's any news on the next Pope. No, I don't think they're going to start reporting on that till I think Sunday. I think that's when they're going to go into hiding. And Chris says it's nice of him to attend his funeral after Vance took him out. Yes, there is that conspiracy on the web that he took him out with a handshake. I don't know how that works, but yeah. There is that persistent rumor of a conspiracy theory where JD Vance took him out. So yes, that's true. All right, so we'll look at the National Weather Service page to see if they've updated it. It only looks like the change has grown in size from just the Texas Panhandle, pretty much all across southwestern Texas. That chance of tornadic activity in the Florida Florida. I can't get used to saying it. Texas Panhandle in Oklahoma. So it looks like they've increased the size of that. Tomorrow, there doesn't look to be as much energy with the storm. It's just going to be scattered showers throughout most of the middle of the country and up along the eastern seaboard, with Sunday looking like only the higher elevations in Vermont, where my son is, will they get snow. Well, it'll be mixed precipitation, but rain's pushing out through the northeast, and the deep south will get a soaking on Sunday. So that severe weather potential comes back to us with a slight chance. Was that in Missouri? So keep your eyes open, be weather aware. I'm sorry, that's Nebraska. What am I thinking? Nebraska. So be weather aware, have a weather radio. I always encourage everybody, a weather radio and a working smoke detector is the best thing to have. All right, get me back to the main page here. Here we go. Let's see. We'll go to see. There's no tropical activity currently in the Atlantic that we're worried about, and there's no tropical activity in the Pacific that we're worried about, but that season is fast approaching. And we talked about the severe weather, the fire weather, and we talked about the hazard assessment. So that is that is the National Weather Service daily briefing. All right, let's zoom out here a little bit and we'll go to Australia and we'll look and see. Currently in Australia, it looks like Melbourne, north of Melbourne and west of New South Wales, there's a little bit of rain on the Gold Coast, Brisbane, a little bit of showers. And the precipitation for today really is going to be down towards Melbourne, extending up into New South Wales, where they're expecting the most. Temperatures currently in Australia, and this is in Fahrenheit, in Broome and Port Hedland, it's in the 80s. Down south of there, it's in the 70s, all the way down in Perth. Central part of Australia is kind of mild at around 59. Over on the East Coast, it's in the 70s along the coastline. Down in the Gold Coast line, it's in the 60s in Sydney. Melbourne, 61. Let's hop up to let's hop up to the U.S. and see what the weather or the current temperatures are wherever you are located. All right, so currently here in Knoxville, it's in the 70s. It's a little stormy. 77 Atlanta, 82 Montgomery, 83 Jacksonville, 87 where Yergs is in Tampa. Down in the Keys, it's in the, what is it currently in the Keys? It's in the 80s. 79 in Miami. Mobile, 80. Wendell, over where you are, it's currently in the high 70s. And let's see, up where Amanda is, it's going to be in the 70s today. Where Cheyenne is today, it's going to be in the high 70s. DC is currently at 78. Look up into Philadelphia and see that it's 78 there as well. Up into Vermont, it's going to be, or it is 61 degrees. It's cool up there. Go over towards the middle of the country here and see what's going on. Kansas City, 65 currently. Wichita, 65. That cold front is pushing its way down south. And if you're going north of that up towards Bismarck, you're looking at 58. Over on the left coast, Medford, Oregon, 56. Down in San Francisco, 55. And way down in Southern California, it is 62 in Los Angeles. The highest current temperature appears to be Tampa again, falling in line with Texas. They're behind. So it's the hottest in Texas today. And Guillermo says, Andy is cold. Yes, it's cold up in Maryland. It is a balmy up where he is. Well, it's in the 70s right now. So, all right, let's take a look at the current radar. As you all heard earlier, over here in Knoxville, we had a little thunder boober go through. So it's passed us by, but we can expect that front to continue. It's getting its weather down from Louisiana and the Gulf of America, extending up and over Jackson, Mississippi, where the heaviest is now. It'll cross into Alabama, and it's going to continue to be stormy all the way up to the northeast in Maine, in that area. And later today, even up in Vermont, they could expect a little bit of a thunderstorm. But that energy from the Gulf, from that cold front that's pushing through, is going to continue as it goes eastward. Currently, right now, we see in, where is this? This is in just north of Dallas. There's a pretty good sized cell, but it doesn't look as though currently, Chris's only Andy victims are cold. Does not look like there's any current tornado warnings, only flash flood and severe thunderstorms. But let's take a look at that. Chris, what do you want to bet? Is Andy doing a test message or not? Let me know before I hit the button when we go over there. I'm going to bet he is. So, all right. This is weatherwarn.com, WXWarn. It's a free site. Oh, look there. He's doing a test message from 225 to 235 in Montgomery County, Maryland. Andy, why do you keep doing these test messages? They work every day. We get it. Yes. We have flood watches in Texas, Alabama, West Virginia's got a severe thunderstorm warning, Mississippi, and you've got a special weather statement that's probably going to be talking about the rains. Tennessee, Hancock, Granger, Hamblin, that's just to the north of me. Special weather statement. I'm going to bet that it's a cluster of strong storms extending 6 miles west of Rutledge, not far from me, all the way up to Sevierville at the tip of the Smokies. West Virginia, we talked about severe thunderstorm. And let's see, Mississippi, special weather statement, flood watch in Texas, and along the coast of Maryland. And that's going to be the Potomac River, small craft advisory, probably over in Chesapeake as well, if I had to guess. And dense fog advisory, that is, well, that one, no, it's lasted until 2:45. So, yep, it's about to end. Dense fog in parts of West Virginia. And we look down. I don't see anything else major at the moment. But the most recent, aside for Andy's text message, well, New Mexico and Texas have sent out a fire weather watch and a red flag warning. Let's take a look at that. So it's that area that is down at the Canadian, gosh, why do I keep saying that? The Mexican border, and it's extending pretty much to the northeast. Where the Texas red flag warning is. It's just a little tip there at El Paso that they're concerned about. But that's where the current fire weather warning was issued, 2:27 to 10 a.m. tomorrow. So that's the most current alerts aside for Andy's text message. Let's take a look and see what we got on the wind map. I'm going to refresh this. I pulled it up earlier. 209. The strongest wind gust currently in the United States is at 28.1, and the average across the country is 8.6. We see that little dry spot that's in the center of the South. Well, it's not in the center of the South, but Texas going over Mississippi and Arkansas. But most of that Gulf moisture is being pulled up to Columbus, Chris. And that front coming down from Canada is kind of keeping that one dry spot. Of course, there's always turbulence over the Rockies, but the air is pulling from the Pacific and then pushing back to the west, which is that energy is going to create the severe thunderstorms later today. Currently, we'll look at the lightning map. And we see that the strongest cell is just north of Dallas at the moment. And then along the Gulf Coast, Baton Rouge, over into, where is this? Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And then it starts extending northeast up around Decatur in Alabama. Florence is going to be heading a little bit to the east there. Window, you'll see it later this afternoon. And in Middle Tennessee right now, pretty much most of Tennessee, Middle Tennessee is experiencing that storm. And the one that just passed over me is currently up in the Jefferson City and East Knoxville area. It's kind of hitting the mountains right there, the Appalachia, and going to sit in the valley. Knoxville, if you don't know, sits in a valley. And whenever there is a lot of pollen, it just sits in this valley and is miserable. There's a small cell in Charleston, and to the northeast of Charleston, that cell has extended. It doesn't look like up in the northeast. Up in upstate New York, it looks like Ithaca. There's a small cell up there. But this little front is going to continue to push eastward, and that energy is going to be picked up here in the Gulf. It's going to be trouble for the panhandle of Texas and points east of that later today. So keep your eyes and ears open. Currently, I'm going to refresh this. They're not showing any. No, we see in New York, there are 23,350 people without power, and that is in Jefferson, is where the power outage is pretty much 60% of the county. So they're without power right now. And you can find this information at poweroutage.us if you're interested. And I expect that, I'm surprised we didn't see some here in Tennessee, but I expect later today, Texas in the lower part of the Deep South will experience some. All right, let's look at the air quality real quick. Currently in the South, the air quality sucks. When I say South, I mean Alabama and pretty much all of Georgia, both of the Carolinas, extending up in the Northeast, all the way almost to Boston. The air quality is in the moderate, so if you are sensitive, you might want to stay indoors or wear a mask. Down at the Texas-Mexican border is also pretty bad. The worst air looks to be over just north of San Diego, probably due to a fire, and then again over in Eureka, up in the Cascade region. I wonder what, that's probably a fire as well. Seattle, you also have some pretty poor air, but not too bad. But it looks like the South and the Northeast are the worst right now, except for along the Mexican border. Unfortunately, that doesn't give us Australia's, but we will get to that in a moment. Tree pollen, yeah, well, it's still a thing. Looks like from the Chesapeake Valley, continuing down through the Blue Ridge Valley is where the worst part of it is today, with the center of the country right there in Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, tip of Oklahoma is where it's the worst in the Midwest. Tennessee's getting a little bit of break. So is Kentucky and West Virginia and Alabama and Georgia. Over in the West, the Four Corners region, you can expect to have a lot of tree pollen today, and it's starting to hit up in Northern California into Oregon and Washington, as well as the coastline. And the weed map is pretty much non-existent. The pollen, grass pollen, it's starting to emerge from the north, going all the way south. Now let's look at the aches and pains map. And it looks like much of the Northeast is going to be a painful day, and much of the Midwest is where they're going to see higher aches and pains. On a full moon, I wonder what this scale looks like. Okay. All right. This is another one of our unique maps that we found. This is at iqair.com, and it shows us the air pollutants in real time. I mix it with the wind patterns and shows us what the current air quality is. Since we haven't looked at Australia yet, let's go over there. Sydney, it looks like Sydney, Canberra, you can expect it to be a very hazy, uncomfortable day, and pretty much in the middle of the continent. Up on the northwest coast with those fires, that smoke is being pushed out, so you will experience a little bit of it there as well. Let's go back over to the U.S. and zoom in. We see that the fires in New Jersey, that air is all being pushed up into the main Vermont, New Hampshire corridor. And in the fires from the south, which there's quite a few of them burning at the moment, is pushing up through much of the country to the Atlantic seaboard and pretty much east of the Mississippi, all the way to the Great Lakes. And in the center of the country, well, that cold front is pushing some of the smoke down, but it's not as intense as it is in the Midwest and the South. And over on the left coast, those control burns and pollutants coming out of Vegas is what's causing most of your poor air quality. But we can zoom out and see pollen is evil. Yes, yes, it is very evil, Ken. And I don't know if you've listened to my show, but some people have gotten on me and said that I shouldn't say it. But East Tennessee, you go outside and it's a yellow hazy day, you're just going to die. It's horrible. It's just horrible. So this is an IQ Air. You can search it out on Google, iqair.com, I believe is what it is. And you can see the current winds and where the pollutants and allergens and smoke are. And yesterday we saw that coming off of the coast of Africa was pushing all that dust and smoke into our uh, Atlantic seaboard and up into the Gulf. But it looks like there's a ridge right now that's pushing it all up towards Finland. That's Finland, right? It says island. Let's see. It's Greek. No, Finland is. Yeah, is that right? Finland? No, I'm losing my geography now. No, that's Greenland. Why is it? But it says island. The hell. Okay, I'll leave it alone. I'm drawing a total blank at the moment. Not shocking. Not shocking. I need to get this map. Ken, it is available. IQ Air. Hold on, I'll give you the exact website. IQAir.com, and that'll give you the main site, and then you can pull it up and you can make it in many different ways. For some people that prefer to see it in the big, beautiful globe. Ken, if you haven't seen it, I've got a really cool map coming up here in a few minutes. This one adds to the ambiance because it shows the winds and the pollutants as well as the smoke, the pollen, all that good stuff. And you can see here really coming out of Africa and the Middle East where the dust storms are brought across, is it across? No, around the globe and come back into us. So it's a really good site. But here, hang on a minute. I got an even cooler map for you if you haven't seen it yet. All right. And speaking of the cooler map, here you go, Ken. This is at earth.nullschool.net. This is real time with AI. This is nothing but the winds. It shows Finland is Sweden and Norway. Thank you. It's about Sweden and Norway. Thank you, Ken. I'm having brain cramps today. It's Friday, and well, if you haven't followed along, I'm here in East Tennessee helping family out, and it's not been a very good day today. So we got some bad news. So it's been a rough day today. I'm on my third Mountain Dew, so probably will continue on them. This map, Ken, is really cool. We often joke that I would love to have a 50-inch plasma TV and just be playing some calm Tai Chi music and just staring at this and relaxing, because you can see the winds that are pretty much dominant throughout the world, and it's enhanced by AI. And you can change the map around. I'll show you here in a second. The big, beautiful globe, you can spin it around and go to wherever you want in the world and look at it. And Australia, when we zoom in on it, we see most of the winds in Australia are coming from the south up into the middle part of the country and back over to the east. On the east, I'm sorry, to the west, on the east side of the country, looks to be a relatively mild and non-windy day. But if you're down along the coast in South Australia, extending up into the northwest, you could expect it to be a little windy. All right, then, Ken, I'll show you something else that's kind of cool. We'll play with it here for a few minutes. We're not too far behind. You can not only make this for people who don't believe the earth is round, you can make it flat. Okay, that's cool. But you could also, this shows you, this is the water, the current currents in the oceans. You can zoom it around, move it around as you please. And if that's not enough, you can do the waves. That's just as, oh man, why did I do that? That's just as relaxing. The waves in there. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I don't know. I really wish I had a plasma TV and I could just put this on that and play some nice Tai Chi music or relaxing music. And I think the waves are just as pretty to me. But, and once again, you can make it flat in case you have people that don't believe the earth is round, that it's a big plate. That's up to them. That's on them, not me. So there you go. That is the current waves around the world. very peaceful and calming. But when we had a tropical cyclone a while back, and it was very, very active during it on the area around it. So, okay, we'll stop playing around. You can find that by searching earthnullschool.net and bring it up and look at the different ones. All right, we're going to jump over to a different map. This is a fire weather map from Canada. And this map, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the word Canada, it's showing US and Canada, but this comes to us from NASA and the US Forestry. They combined their technology together. And where you see these little dots is where fires have been spotted by satellite or reported by a person, and there's no boots on the ground to say what they are as of yet. Then, of course, the larger ones, as you see here, are indicated by the larger flames. And you can zoom in and get a little bit like this is a Morgan Brock, which is in it's more central Tennessee, 119 acres. We're still worrying with the B Rock fires, 504 acres. That's down a lot from what it initially was. But you can zoom in and out and see where different fires are. Down where you are, the big fire we've been watching, that's pretty much, that was started, it's called Powerline Fire, was, well, it's down. It was higher than that. It's 270 acres. It's not, wait a minute, hold on. Make sure it's not 270,000. It's 270 acres. So it's actually, hold on, stop that. You can see it's just this area here. You can zoom in and out and see where they are. It's fairly real time, but I have found, like the other day, it didn't have all of New Jersey in it. Let's see. So we have Kansas. So we have a place in North Carolina. Finally, meet flat earthers. We were like, what? They actually exist? Stay on here. Sometimes we get one in the chat, and she makes fun of me. So it's all, I take it all in love, though. It's all in love. Let's see. So they're showing the fires appear to be not as large as they were yesterday, which is a good sign. But watching the news earlier, they were still saying that it was pretty rough. But yeah, they're showing that they're much smaller than they were, which is good news. But the air quality is horrible along the eastern seaboard down into the Chesapeake Bay region, kind of even into Washington, D.C., dropping all the way down to Norfolk. Air quality alerts have been horrible for the past couple days. But we can see there, those are the largest fires. They're concerned about these areas in Denver, New Mexico, Arizona, and that little tippy corner of Texas right there at the Mexican border. The smoke map for today was not updating, so I only have this map, which is really, I don't think, showing us where most of the smoke is, because it's not showing the New Jersey fire at all, which was extending down to the south. But the other one wasn't updating. This is showing most of the smoke is pushing down into the Gulf of America. So if you're working on an oil rig today, it's still going to be a smoky, hazy day, and it's pushing all the way across Mexico into the Pacific. So the other map that we have just wasn't updating, so I don't have it today. I don't know what the deal was with it. We'll have it again on Monday. We'll close that one. All right, we look at space weather, and there's nothing really to report. They're not expecting any significant events. We look at the aurora forecast for the next 24 hours, and we'll see that it's the northern lights are going to stay in the north. We're not going to stand a chance of seeing them here in the lower 48, which is unfortunate. Only got to see them once. They were bright enough when it came through Atlanta light for me to see them one night. All right, we'll jump over here to the latest earthquakes. I'm going to update this because I saw right before we came on there was one 4.3 in Turkey, 4.1 in Chile, 4.5 in, is that Thailand? Timor. Okay. That's been corrected. And 2.7 in California and New Mexico, a 2.7. Same going down the largest. 6.3 in Ecuador. 4.6 in, that's also in South America. All right, let's close this. We'll refresh it to make sure there's nothing even newer. And this is the current earthquake map greater than 2.5 according to the USGS. You can find this at earthquake.usgs.gov. And I don't know if you noticed, but just to the north of where I was, it's not showing up here, but just to the north of where I am, there was a small one at the Tennessee-Kentucky border, but it's not showing up here. It was apparently either a small one or it's a couple days old. I don't remember which. All right, I like this map because it tells us what's going on with volcanoes and earthquakes, because we've had some activity with Kilauea, and where did this take us to? The most recent activity. Okay, the raspberry shadow. Okay, this is new. This is new. I have not seen this map, so we pushed a new button today. This shows us the shake zones, I guess. All right. Well, what do you get? What do you get there? Raspberry shake station event. Oh, it tells you it's telling you in current time what's going on. Okay, that's kind of cool. All right, I have not pushed that. Most recent was in Taiwan, but this is showing a station down, I guess this is Jacksonville. Let's hop up to my neck of the woods, find out where this one is in Tennessee, and you look at this shake. Okay, that's kind of cool. I had not seen this before. You can pull it up and see what the most recent activity for these shakes near you. Okay, kind of cool. And I'm assuming it's 1 day old. This is 4 day old, I'm assuming. So let me see if I can find out one that I had. It was right there. Does it tell you anything about it? Earthquake summary. It's on the 23rd, and it was a 2.3. Well, I never felt it. All right. Let me get back to this. Sorry, sidetracked. So the most recent one is in the Philippine Sea in Taiwan. You can zoom in on it here, and it was a 4.1. And then the next one was in Turkey, was a 4.3. And I'm going to go back out. Let me close this. I can't. How do I close? Is that the X to close it? Yeah, that just closes the whole window. I want to see volcanic activity. Don't show me volcanic activity. This map is so sensitive. Volcanoes, earthquakes, warnings, minor activity. Yes, show me that. Show me the map. There we go. 7 hours ago, St. Vincent's in the Grenadines, and up in Alaska, Katamaya volcano, and a shake 18 hours ago, 4.1 in Mexico. Kilauea, it's been active recently. What do we have down here? Mitchell in the South Sandwich Islands in the UK, and around Australia, there's been some activity of late. 8 hours ago in Vanuatu, there was an earthquake, and White Island volcano has been active earlier in this month. Okay. All right. I'm going to get away from this map because I'll keep pushing too many buttons. How are we on time? We got 10 minutes left. Okay. This will be about right. Nope, wrong button. There we go. All right. This is the event list of major things that have occurred in the world. We'll only talk about things that have happened since we last spoke. So there's nothing new in the biological origin. And let's see, Russian Federation, we talked about the health outbreak there of cholera, and that was yesterday. And overnight, Indonesia, mass food poisoning casts shadow over India's free school meals. Well, okay. Critical infrastructure, nothing new. Social incidents, cyber attack on Yale New Haven Health affects 5 million patients. That was overnight. And of course, we had the report the other day from the Dutch intelligence saying that they were attacked by Russia's cyber attack. And let's see, that's not new. That's not new. Mexico, cartel conflict shuts down highways. Okay. Yeah, that was near the border, I heard. Pakistan, 3 cops injured in a terrorist attack overnight. In Lebanon, 8 Syrian refugees injured in a drone explosion. All right. And let's see. In the Russian Federation, I saw this as we were coming online. A top Russian general was killed in an IED in Moscow. And 2 men were pronounced dead on the scene after a shooting in Israel. Authorities are responding to a shooting incident in a warehouse in southwest Miami-Dade with several injured. That was yesterday. That was overnight since we were last on. In France, a school stabbing with 3 students injured, 1 killed. In Canada, police shot a man. Police say a man shot by officer at the Toronto airport. Okay. And let's see, the demonstrations, we've talked about that. 4 killed and injured in IED in Pakistan. In Pakistan and India are about to start sending troops back and forth, I'm afraid. The United States official warned 300,000 people not to light candles. Okay, I'm good. That interests me. What are they talking about? United States officials warned 300,000 people not to light Canada's. Don't light Canada. Candles. Good Lord. Officials are urging more than 300,000 residents in Southern California to avoid lighting candles and other sources of indoor pollutions as high winds have stirred up dangerous levels of dust, triggering an air quality alert that remains in effect through early Friday morning. Well, why it matters, with particulate pollution reaching considered harmful by the South Coast Air Quality Management, health hazards, thousands across Southern California are at risk. The alert spans cities including Palm Springs, Indio, La Quinta, regions frequented by tourists, home to large population of older adult and outdoor workers. Poor indoor air particles during this period, like using candles or incense, can worsen unhealthy condition indoors. What they want us to know, the National Weather Service broadcasted the alert from the South Coast on Wednesday afternoon, warning that windblown dust has significant elevated fine particulates in the air. These pollutants are small enough to penetrate deep into the lungs and may even enter the bloodstream, contributing to serious health effects such as asthma, heart disease, and lung infections. This alert is in effect from 7 a.m. on Friday, that's local time to California. Health officials emphasize that the effects of the exposure can vary based on time, place, and health status. However, those with pre-existing heart or lung conditions, young children, older adults, and people who are pregnant are particularly vulnerable. Residents are being told to avoid lighting candles, burning incense, using fireplaces, or grilling activities that can increase indoor particulate pollution. Instead, people are advised to keep windows and doors closed, run air purifiers if available, and use air conditioning units that recirculate indoor air if staying cool is necessary. Officials recommend avoiding swamp coolers or whole house fans that draw air from the outside. They have outlined protective action depending on the air quality. When the air quality is unhealthy, the sensitive group is yellow or orange is at risk, should limit outdoor activities. And if it is red, it's bad. Purple is even worse. Good Lord. So strongly encouraged to stay indoors. All right. I'm sure they're also, it doesn't say it, but if the particulates are fine enough and you light a candle, you can have a flash explosion, which would be bad. Interesting. All right. So we hadn't seen that one. And we got about 5 minutes left. Let's see. That's the 21st, 24th. Nambia locust outbreak. Well, we saw some of that yesterday. And a toxic algae bloom is killing dolphins and other marine animals along the Southern California coast. And overnight, the Russian Federation had that. That was yesterday, the explosion at the high rise. Australia, 3 people were taken to the hospital after a house fire in Sydney's inner west. New Zealand, massive fire broke out in the largest city. In India, fire broke out at the Palace Market. There were no casualties. And then we talked about the Chicago firefighter that died in the line of duty. Outdoor fires we've talked about. And the North Pacific region was the most recent earthquake, El Salvador 5.0. And we'll keep scanning down here. Kilauea is still active overnight. Spur volcano was active, as well as the Great Sitkin volcano. And we talked about flooding and let's see, tsunami, nothing. That's good news. Oh, that was the one we talked about the other day off the coast of Alaska. Let's see, 425 Afghanistan, 2 killed, 7 injured in a roof collapse. All right. Mining accident, Conga, mine in collapse in East Conga, killed at least 10 people. In India, 5 workers are dead after inhaling fumes at a rice mill. New Zealand, Christchurch hospital staff let down after toxic fume exposure. Okay. And let's see, 2 repellers rescued from a 250 mine shaft in San Bernardino, Australia. And we talked about Australia. I did not look more into that article because it ticked me off. So if you're not familiar with it, they had snipers killing koalas. You can Google it and see. Let's see. Thailand, 5 killed in a small plane crash. And Langley Air Force Base crash on the 24th. Wonder what that was. We're running out of time, so we can't really see. Public road accidents. 1 killed in Italy as driver loses control during a parade. Japan, are 4 dead or in a crash in central Japan. And 4 killed when a building destroyed after it crashed into a market in Waterbury. It was up in the Northeast. We talked about the elephant collision. Yes, that was an elephant collision. We talked about weather. We didn't go over drought today, but it hasn't really changed much since the other day. And there was some hail the size of DVDs in parts of Texas yesterday. They anticipate in parts of Texas today the hail could be still softball size. Can you imagine that hitting you? Goodness gracious. All right, so there's about ground. Look here at the big map. We'll zoom into the U.S. and see that most of it is going to be from flooding and from landslides up, where was that, 6 hours ago in Utah. All right. And 3 new notifications. Let's see. Rainfall in Nova Scotia. Wind, that's in France. And that's probably going to be Nova Scotia as well. And down here, we are talking about in Cuba, wildfires. And we're running out of time here, so we'll. All right. So everybody is listening to Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, and Radio X in Australia. Thank you for allowing me to tickle your ears. I appreciate it. We will be back on Monday, and we will line up a great show for you. And everybody here in the U.S., thank you for allowing us to not only tickle your ears, allowing me to be on your screen and see the ugly bug and hear me talk for 2 hours. David Breckmeyer is up next on Radio X and Yerg's Radio. Hopefully he has a great show lined up for you. I'm sure he does. And I am looking forward to seeing you all on Monday. Maybe I will be back in Atlanta. We'll see. Everybody have a great weekend. I will catch you soon. If you have any questions about any of the stories we didn't cover, because we ran a little short in time, just hit me up. You can find me on most social media at Sportcat or at Sportcat Medic. And of course, over on Facebook, we have the Sportcat's Daily Gazette, where you can come check us out there. Everybody have a great weekend. I will catch you soon. Until then, Sportcat is out. Let me play my little song and turn off the radio here. Play? Yes, play. It's